Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful day, got some food in your belly if you have already eaten, and if you haven't, you're enjoying the day, whomever you're spending it with. Let's get started in our cute little card. So, I don't know how many of you know what this sentiment is from, but I love this sentiment. I watch that movie a million times. Every Christmas I watch it. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. And I bought this set just because I wanted to be able to make this card with the angel wings. So Christmas Means More is what I used. I also use the bell and the holly leaves, or whatever those are. I think that's holly leaves, for the inside of the card. And then I just used the wings from this bundle. So let's start the card. It's not a very hard card to do, but the first thing we're going to need to do is cut these. And I don't know if you can see, but I embossed this with what it's called Old World paper. And I did that ahead of time so you wouldn't have to watch me. I just ran it through the Old World paper. What's kind of nice about this one is there's no rhyme or reason. However you run it through is how it comes out, and it's just fine. But we're going to need to cut 2 sets of wings. So I'm going to bring my cut and emboss machine over, and we'll run it through and get these cut very quickly. So I need my base, which is piece number 1. Oops, I got it upside down. There's piece number 1, and then I need this second piece for die cutting. Then I'm going to put the piece number 3 down, and then put my cardstock on here and just run it through. And this is a leftover piece from the first card I made, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this once. And then a second time. Let's run it back through. Usually I do this ahead of time, but didn't get those done. I like to use my little take your pick tool to get all these little pieces out before I pop out the wing. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut another wing right there. Probably should put those pieces in the trash. Now that little piece for your take your pick tool doesn't come with it, but you can order it separately. And if you have a take your pick tool, it's great for popping out those little pieces from your machine. I'm going to go ahead and close this up because I'm done using it. And if you haven't seen me do that before, it is just great. See how it blows them all out? And then any that you can't get out, you can poke out with your take your pick pointer tool, and then you pop the whole thing out. Sometimes there's a little few that like to stay in there, but it makes doing this much quicker and easier if you have that to work with. And I like to store all my framelits right inside. I sometimes have a magnetic card holder, but sometimes I just use the little paper that it came with. So the card is just done. We just need to do the sentiment. And I think the hardest part for the sentiment is that sometimes when I ink up a sentiment that's big like this, I will have just not a perfect stamp. So I like to use my Stamparatus for that, especially because it helps me sort of straighten things out and make sure everything's straight. Stamparatus, if you've never seen it, is a machine that stamps things over and over if you need to, because sometimes we don't stamp correctly the first time. The only thing you need to do is make sure that it doesn't move while you're stamping. So I got to check and see if I can bring this down. Yep, no problem. I'm going to bring that even a little bit more and move this up. So this is where it's going to go. I already preset the spot. I marked it before I put the cardstock down. I like to do this if I'm going to be stamping a lot of cards, just so that I know where it's going to go, it's going to hit just right. And if I don't get it right the first try, I can always go back and get a couple more tries. The other thing that's nice about the Stamparatus is that it forces you to stamp things. The stamp, I don't know why, but for some reason I don't get ink all over my plate the same way I would with a regular block. Yes, the words are escaping me. I think I ate too much turkey. Actually, I'm videotaping this on Sunday, and so I'm not actually doing it on Thursday. So I can see that a couple spots there aren't quite perfect, so I'm going to go for broke here. Try to stamp it again. Put more ink up in here. How many of you know that the edges of your pad usually hold a little bit more ink? Because we have a tendency to want to stamp in the middle. So I'm going to go back at it. I like to do this, which is called spooning. That's the term in printing. I think people used to actually use a hard wooden spoon at one point. And look at how much nicer that is. That's stamped beautifully the second time. Best tool I've ever invested in. I love this tool. So we'll put that away and clean that up later. So now I've got two components that I need. I'm going to go ahead and glue this on so that I can focus on putting my wings together. My green glue is going. In case you've never seen this, this is called Tombow Mono Liquid Glue, and I love it because it works with whatever kind of card making stuff I do, and I keep mine always in a little cup like this right next to my desk, so that if it's like this, it's always at the tip. I never have to waste it or wait for it to come down. Nothing's more frustrating than when you want some glue. Now the big problem with the Tombow is people tend to use way too much. You don't need a lot. Just like I say, dot dot, not a lot. That's how I am about the glue. Notice how I don't go right to the edges, and I put very tiny amount on. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set. I'm going to be careful when I do that, because if the ink is wet in any way, I can get a really ugly scratch through it. Okay, so now I'm just ready to make my wings. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue my wings together how I want them, and I think I like that. I'm just going to put a little touch of glue right there. Again, dot dot, not a lot. I could also use a glue dot if I wanted. And I'm going to bring in two things that I'm going to use. This ribbon that I love, it's the metallic cord, and then the Jingle bells. And I'll tie a little ribbon around a Jingle bell. And these Jingle bells come in 3 colors, and I think I'm going to use the red one that I already did for us, just because I think that color is really pretty. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, secure my wings on here, and I think I'm going to use a dimensional. No, I changed my mind. You know why? Because I'm going to use a glue dot for that, and it needs to be on the cardstock. So I'm really just gluing down this end of the wings. I'm not worried about them flying up. And then I'm going to grab a glue dot and sort of fold it in half and put it right up here on the wings and on the cardstock. And then I just have to pick the side I want of my bell to hang. I think I like it like this. Now, if you were to mail this in the mail, you probably want to take a little piece of bubble wrap and place it right over this and slide it in the envelope. You'll have less of a hard time sending it because it'll sort of protect it, but also it tends to get there in much better shape. Now, I decided to do this on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and stamp that now. And that's the bell from the same stamp set, Christmas Means More. The bell and the holly. So I'm going to do the bell first. And I did something that I hate that I do sometimes is I got a little ink on my finger, and that is a disaster for stamping sometimes. And I think I'm going to do the holly a little different than I did last time. There. I'm going to bring in a red Stampin' Write marker, which is not listed on that list, but I can just color it in. And then I'm going to color in my leaves by just using a blender pen. I'm not even going to put it in the ink. I'm just going to pick up ink that's right here by just going over it a little bit. Don't go over it a lot because you'll rip the paper. But isn't that pretty on the inside? So now I've got this adorable card that I made, and I need to send it to someone. How about whoever places an order today using this code, I will send you this card for free as a thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and we'll check in tomorrow to see what I got going on. I got a nice card for Friday. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Thanksgiving. If you haven't eaten yet, I hope you fill your belly today. See you tomorrow, and thanks for watching.